I never thought a simple dinner would destroy everything I believed about love. My name is Emma, I'm 32 years old, and I live in Manhattan. I work as a graphic designer at a small advertising agency. My life wasn't glamorous, but it was mine. And I thought I had found the love of my life in Marcus. We met 2 years ago at a coffee shop in Brooklyn. He was charming, successful, a financial analyst at one of those big Wall Street firms. He wore expensive suits, drove a Tesla, and had that confident smile that made my heart skip a beat. I fell hard and fast. Marcus was everything I thought I wanted. He took me to fancy restaurants, introduced me to his wealthy friends, and made me feel special. At least, that's what I believed for the first year and a half. But something started changing about 6 months ago. It began with small comments. He'd look at me getting dressed and say things like, "Have you been to the gym this week?" Or he'd order salad for me at restaurants without asking. I'm a size 12. I've always been curvy. I have hips, thighs, and a stomach that isn't flat. I'm not a supermodel, but I never hated my body until Marcus started making me question everything. That Thursday evening in April changed everything. We were at his apartment in Tribeca, a stunning loft with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hudson River. I had cooked dinner, trying to do something nice. I made his favorite pasta carbonara, opened a bottle of wine, and wore a new dress I bought specifically for the occasion. An emerald green dress that hugged my curves. He came home late, as usual. Barely looked at me. Loosened his tie and poured himself a whiskey. "How was your day?" I asked, trying to sound cheerful. "Long," he muttered, scrolling through his phone. We sat down to eat. The silence was suffocating. I watched him push the pasta around his plate, and my stomach twisted with anxiety. "Is something wrong with the food?" I finally asked. He put down his fork and looked at me with those cold blue eyes that used to make me melt. "Emma, we need to talk." My heart sank. Those 4 words never lead anywhere good. "Okay," I said quietly, setting down my own fork. He took a deep breath, like he was preparing to deliver bad news to a client. "I've been thinking a lot lately. About us. About our future." I waited, my hands trembling slightly under the table. "You've gained weight," he said flatly. Like he was commenting on the weather. My ex was fit. She had a model's body. She took care of herself. The room started spinning. I felt like I'd been slapped across the face. My ex. He'd never talked about her before. Not in detail anyway. "What?" I managed to whisper. He pulled out his phone and started swiping through photos. Then he turned the screen toward me. "This is Vanessa. We dated for 3 years before you." I stared at the screen. She was stunning. Tall, blonde, with legs that seemed to go on forever. She had that Instagram model look, perfect makeup, perfect hair, perfect everything. In one photo, she wore a tiny bikini on a yacht. In another, she was in workout clothes at some expensive gym, her abs clearly defined. "She's beautiful," I said, my voice barely audible. "She is. She worked hard for that body. Personal trainer 4 times a week. Strict diet. She cared about her appearance." Each word was a knife twisting deeper into my chest. "And I'm not like that," I said, feeling tears burning behind my eyes. "You could be. If you tried. If you cared enough." I cared enough? I had spent 2 years trying to be everything he wanted. I'd changed my wardrobe, my hair, the way I laughed, the way I talked around his friends. But it was never enough. "Marcus, I've gained maybe 15 pounds since we met. I'm not unhealthy. I'm just me." He shook his head, that disappointed look on his face that I'd seen more and more lately. 15 pounds is a lot, Emma. And it's not just about the weight. It's about effort. Vanessa would never let herself go like this. Let myself go. I repeated, anger starting to bubble up through the hurt. I'm just being honest. Isn't that what relationships are supposed to be about? Honesty? I stood up from the table, my legs shaky. I walked to the window, staring out at the glittering city lights, trying to hold back tears. Why are you with me then? I asked, my voice cracking. If I'm such a disappointment? I heard him sigh behind me. Because I love you. Or at least, I love who you used to be. Who you could be again. I turned around to face him. Show me more photos of her, I said suddenly. What? Your ex Vanessa. Show me more. He looked confused but unlocked his phone again and handed it to me. I scrolled through the photos, my heart breaking with each swipe. And then I saw it. Something that made my blood run cold. In one of the photos, Vanessa was standing in front of a mirror at a gym. Her body was indeed perfect, impossibly toned. But something caught my eye in the reflection. The date stamp on the mirror's digital display read March 15, 2024. That was 3 months ago. 3 months ago, Marcus told me he was working late at the office. My hands started shaking as I kept scrolling. Another photo. Vanessa at a restaurant I recognized, one of those trendy places in Soho. The geotag said it was posted 5 weeks ago. I remembered that night. Marcus said he had a business dinner with clients. When did you two break up? I asked, my voice eerily calm. He shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Why does that matter? Answer the question, Marcus. About 3 years ago. I told you that. I held up the phone, showing him the photo with the date stamp. Then why is this from 3 months ago? His face went pale. Actually pale. The confident Wall Street analyst suddenly looked like a teenager caught stealing. Emma, I can explain. Oh, I'm sure you can. You're good at explaining things. Like how I need to lose weight. Like how I'm not good enough. So please, explain this. He stood up, trying to regain control of the situation. Okay, fine. Vanessa and we've stayed in touch. As friends. Friends, I repeated, my voice getting louder. Friends who go to restaurants together? Friends who take gym selfies together? It's not what you think. Then what is it, Marcus? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been seeing your ex while telling me I'm not thin enough to be your girlfriend. We had coffee a few times. That's all. She reached out when she moved back to New York and what? You thought it would be nice to compare me to her every single day? To make me feel like garbage so you could justify whatever this is? He ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I used to find attractive. You're overreacting. I laughed. Actually laughed. A bitter, painful sound I didn't recognize as my own. I'm overreacting? You just showed me photos of your ex, told me I'm fat, and now I find out you've been seeing her behind my back. But sure, I'm the one overreacting. I grabbed my purse from the couch. My whole body was shaking with rage and hurt. Where are you going? Away from you. Emma, don't be dramatic. We can talk about this like adults. I stopped at the door and turned to face him one last time. You want to know something, Marcus? I came here tonight to tell you I loved you. I was going to tell you that I wanted to build a future with you. But now? Now I see exactly who you are. I walked out of that apartment and didn't look back. The elevator ride down felt like an eternity. My reflection stared back at me in the mirrored walls, and for the first time in months, I didn't see what Marcus saw. I saw a woman who had been broken down piece by piece. I walked the streets of Manhattan for hours that night. Past couples holding hands, past restaurants where we used to eat, past the life I thought I was building. My phone buzzed constantly. Marcus calling. Marcus texting. I turned it off. I ended up at my best friend Sarah's apartment in the East Village around midnight. She opened the door in her pajamas, took one look at my face, and pulled me inside. What happened? I told her everything. The wait comments. The photos of Vanessa. The secret meetings. The 3 months of lies. She listened, her face growing angrier with every word. That manipulative piece of garbage, she finally said. Emma, you know this is abuse, right? Emotional abuse. I hadn't thought of it that way. But hearing her say it out loud made something click inside me. He made me hate myself, I whispered. That's what abusers do. They break you down so you think you need them. So you think no one else would want you. If you're still with me right now, if you're rooting for me to find my strength again, take a moment and subscribe to the channel. Because what happened next changed everything, and you'll want to see where this goes. I stayed at Sarah's that weekend. On Saturday morning, she convinced me to do something I'd been avoiding for months. We're going through your phone. Every text, every interaction with Marcus. You need to see the pattern. We sat on her couch with coffee and bagels, and went through 2 years of messages. Sarah was right. The pattern was everywhere. At first, Marcus had been loving and supportive. But slowly, gradually, the comments started. You look tired. Are you sleeping enough? That dress is a bit tight, don't you think? Maybe skip dessert tonight. Vanessa used to make this dish perfectly. Each message was a small cut. Alone, they seemed harmless. Together, they formed a picture of systematic destruction. How did I not see this? I asked, tears streaming down my face. Because he was good at it. These guys always are. They make you think it's love. That they're trying to help you. My phone buzzed. It was still off, but Marcus had found a way to reach me. He sent an email. The subject line read, I'm sorry. Please come back. We can work through this. Sarah looked at me. What do you want to do? I stared at that email for a long moment. Part of me, the part that had loved him for 2 years, wanted to believe he could change. But another part, a stronger part that was just waking up, knew the truth. Delete it, I said. Sarah smiled and hit delete. That simple action felt like the first step toward freedom. But life doesn't let you heal in peace. On Monday morning, I had to face reality. I worked at the same agency where Marcus had connections. His firm was one of our biggest clients. I walked into the office with my head held high, pretending everything was fine. My coworker Jessica noticed immediately. You okay? You look different. I'm fine. Just tired. But I wasn't fine. And things got worse fast. By Tuesday afternoon, everyone in the office seemed to know. Marcus had apparently told his colleagues that we broke up because I had trust issues and went through his phone. The story spread like wildfire. I heard she accused him of cheating with no proof, someone whispered in the break room. Poor Marcus. She seemed so jealous and insecure. Each word felt like poison. But I kept my mouth shut. I focused on my work, on the designs that needed finishing, on anything but the humiliation. Then Wednesday happened. I was in a meeting with our creative team when Marcus walked in. With Vanessa. She was even more stunning in person, wearing a designer outfit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. They were there to discuss a new campaign for his firm. Emma, Marcus said with that fake professional smile. Good to see you. I nodded, unable to speak. Vanessa looked at me with what I can only describe as pity. Or maybe it was triumph. I couldn't tell. The meeting was torture. I had to present designs while they sat there, his hand occasionally touching her arm, her perfect laugh filling the room. My boss loved their feedback. They were the golden clients. That presentation was brilliant, Emma, my boss said afterward. But maybe next time, try to smile more. You seemed tense. I locked myself in the bathroom and cried. This was my workplace. My space. And Marcus had invaded it, bringing his perfect girlfriend to parade in front of me. But something shifted in that bathroom stall. As I wiped my tears and stared at my reflection in the mirror, I remembered something my grandmother used to say: the best revenge is becoming someone they can't ignore. I pulled out my phone and did something I'd been thinking about for months. I opened my old portfolio, the one I'd abandoned when Marcus convinced me I wasn't talented enough to go freelance. There were designs there that I'd forgotten about. Good designs. Award-worthy designs. I sent emails to 3 creative directors at top agencies in the city. Subject line: available for freelance opportunities. Within an hour, I had 2 responses. Both wanted to meet. One was from Thompson Creative, the most prestigious boutique agency in Manhattan. They'd seen my work at a design conference 2 years ago and had been trying to reach me ever since. My old email had been full. I'd never seen their messages because I'd stopped checking it after Marcus told me I should focus on stability, not dreams. I met with Thompson Creative that Friday. The creative director, a sharp woman named Diana Chin, looked through my portfolio with genuine interest. This work is exceptional. Why are you buried in a mid-level position at a corporate agency? I didn't have a good answer. Or rather, I had too many answers. Because someone convinced me I wasn't good enough. Because I stopped believing in myself. Because I made myself smaller to fit into someone else's life. Long story, I finally said. Diana smiled. We all have those. Look, I need a lead designer for a major campaign. Fashion brand launching nationwide. It's high pressure, tight deadline, but the exposure would be incredible. Interested? My heart raced. This was the kind of opportunity I'd dreamed about. When would I start? Monday, if you want it. We move fast here. I thought about my current job. About Marcus walking in with Vanessa. About being invisible while pretending to be okay. I'll take it. I gave my 2 weeks' notice that afternoon. My boss was shocked. Marcus's firm was disappointed. I didn't care anymore. The next 2 weeks were chaos. I worked on the Thompson campaign during the day and finished projects at my old agency at night. I barely slept. I lived on coffee and determination. But something amazing happened. I remembered who I was before Marcus. The designer who stayed up until 3 a.m. perfecting a concept. The woman who believed her work mattered. Sarah noticed the change immediately. You're glowing. Like, actually glowing. I'm exhausted. No, you're alive again. There's a difference. She was right. I'd been dead inside for so long, I'd forgotten what living felt like. My first major presentation at Thompson Creative was for the fashion brand. I walked into a boardroom full of executives and presented a campaign that showcased real women. Different sizes, different ages, different backgrounds. The tagline was "Everybody tells a story." The room went silent. I thought I'd failed. Then the CEO started clapping. Slowly at first, then everyone joined. This is exactly what we needed. When can we launch? 3 weeks later, the campaign went live. Billboards across Manhattan. Social media everywhere. My designs. My vision. My name in the credits. I was walking through Times Square when I saw it. A massive billboard featuring a woman who looked like me. Curvy, confident, beautiful. My work. 50 feet tall. I took a photo and posted it on Instagram. No caption needed. Within minutes, comments flooded in. Friends I hadn't heard from in years. Former classmates. Industry professionals. And then one comment that made my blood run cold. Marcus, this is amazing, Em. Can we talk? I made a mistake. I stared at those words. Part of me wanted to respond, to tell him exactly what I thought. But instead, I did something better. I blocked him. 6 months later, my life was unrecognizable. Thompson Creative promoted me to Senior Creative Director. The fashion campaign won 3 industry awards. I moved into a beautiful apartment in Brooklyn with exposed brick walls and plants everywhere. My own space. My own rules. I started therapy. Dr. Martinez helped me understand the patterns I'd fallen into, why I'd accepted so little when I deserved so much. She taught me that healing isn't linear, that some days would be harder than others, and that was okay. I reconnected with old friends I'd pushed away during my relationship with Marcus. I joined a women's design collective. I started painting again, something I'd abandoned years ago. My apartment walls filled with colors and life. Sarah dragged me to a gallery opening in Chelsea one evening in October. I wasn't looking for anything except good wine and interesting art. That's when I met Daniel. He was standing in front of one of my favorite pieces, a bold abstract painting full of reds and golds. We started talking about the artist's use of color. Then about design. Then about everything else. He was a photographer, down to earth, genuinely interested in what I had to say. He never once mentioned my appearance except to say I had kind eyes. We exchanged numbers. Started meeting for coffee. Then dinner. Then long walks through Central Park talking about art and life and dreams. 3 months into dating, Daniel asked me something that caught me off guard. What made you who you are today? I told him about Marcus. About the weight comments. About Vanessa. About finding myself again through my work. He listened without interrupting. Then he said something I'll never forget. That guy was an idiot. Not because he couldn't see how beautiful you are, but because he couldn't see how extraordinary you are. And honestly, I'm grateful he was too blind to appreciate you. Otherwise, you might not be here with me. I learned that healing looks different than I expected. It's not about revenge or proving someone wrong. It's about rebuilding yourself from the inside out. It's about recognizing your worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. Last month, I ran into Marcus at an industry event. He looked the same. Expensive suit, confident smile, Vanessa on his arm. He approached me during cocktail hour. Emma, you look great. Really great. I've been following your work. Impressive. Thank you, I said simply. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? Catch up? I looked at him, this man who once made me question everything about myself, and felt absolutely nothing. No anger. No pain. Just indifference. I don't think so. But I wish you well. I walked away. This time, towards something better. If you made it to the end of my story, thank you for listening. If this resonated with you, hit that like button, leave a comment sharing your own story of finding yourself again, and subscribe for more real stories about resilience and transformation. Your support means everything, and I'd love to hear what topics you'd like me to explore next. Remember, your worth was never up for debate. You were always enough.